Ever feel like your English is kind of stuck in traffic? Like you know what you want to say, but the words just won't come out smoothly.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But we're diving deep into some seriously cool strategies for speaking more fluently. And get this, it all starts with how you think.
That's right. We're not just talking about memorizing a ton of vocabulary. It's more about kind of rewiring your brain to think in English.
Rewiring the brain. Okay, that sounds a little intense, to be honest.
It's really not as scary as it sounds. Think of it this way. Imagine driving on a highway, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
If your thoughts are all jumbled up like a traffic jam, getting those words out is going to be a real bumpy ride.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when your thoughts are clear and organized, the words can just zoom out like cars on an open road.
Okay, less traffic jam, more Autobahn. I
Yeah.
like it. So how do we actually declutter those thoughts?
Well, one of the most effective strategies is to start small. You don't need to be composing Shakespeare in your head from day one.
Right, start simple.
Exactly. Just begin by simply naming things around you in English. Like, this is a table. It's made of wood.
See, super basic.
Basic, but it gets those neural pathways firing in English.
It's like laying the foundation brick by brick.
You got it.
But what if my brain wants to be stubborn and translate things?
Hmm.
Are there any tricks for breaking that habit?
Ditch the translator completely.
Just cold turkey.
I know it sounds scary, but try to force yourself to think directly in English, even if you have to use simpler words or gestures at first.
I actually get that. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I'd get so frustrated trying to translate everything perfectly in my head that I'd just clam up.
Exactly. By eliminating that translation step, you're freeing up your mind to focus on the flow of conversation and expressing yourself more naturally.
So it's about giving our brains a crash course in English immersion.
That's a great way to put it.
What are some other mental ninja moves we can use?
One powerful technique is to connect words to visuals or feelings. Instead of just memorizing the word happy, picture a moment that made you feel truly happy, like a birthday celebration or a sunny day at the beach.
Ooh, I like that. It's like creating a mental movie for each word.
Right. And you can apply this technique to all sorts of vocabulary. Think excited. Visualize yourself getting amazing news tired. Picture yourself after a long day of hiking.
So we're tapping into those emotional memories to make the words stick. That's really cool. What other mental workouts can we do?
Try narrating your day in English. Instead of just going through the motions, mentally describe what you're doing. Like, I'm making breakfast, I'm pouring cereal into a bowl.
So it's like having a running commentary in my head. But in English, I could even get fancy and add some details like, the coffee smells amazing this morning. Does that count?
Absolutely. The more you immerse yourself in the language, even in your own head, the more natural it will become.
This is starting to feel less intimidating and more like a fun challenge. It's like giving my brain a secret English workout throughout the day.
Exactly. And speaking of challenges, have you ever noticed how intensely you listen when you're trying to understand a foreign language?
Oh, totally. You're like a detective trying to pick up any clues you can.
We can apply that same level of attention to improve our English. It's called mindful listening. Pay close attention to how fluent speakers talk. Not just what they say, but how they say it. Their word choices. Pauses, tone. Try to repeat what you hear in your head, like a shadow.
So we're basically becoming pronunciation detectives. I never thought of listening that way, but it makes total sense. We learn by observing and imitating.
And here's a bonus tip. Ask yourself questions in English throughout the day. Simple things like, what am I grateful for today? Or what should I wear to the party?
Wow, I never thought of that. So we're not only thinking in English, but we're also forcing our brains to formulate answers in English. Double the practice.
Exactly. By consistently engaging in this internal dialogue, you're training your mind to think and respond more automatically in English. You're essentially building that mental muscle memory.
All right, my brain is definitely getting a workout. But with all these amazing tips, I'm getting a little overwhelmed. It's like trying to juggle a million things at once. Any advice for staying focused?
Practice with purpose. Choose a specific area to focus on each day. Like, today I'm going to describe everything I see using English adjectives, or today I'll practice asking myself questions in English.
Okay, that takes the pressure off. Instead of trying to be a master of everything at once, I can choose one skill and really hone in on it.
Right. It's about quality over quantity. You're giving your brain the space to absorb and master one specific skill at a time.
This is all making so much more sense now. But I have to admit, I'm still a bit nervous about actually speaking English more fluently. All this mental preparation is great, but how do we take it from our heads to our mouths?
That's a great question, and it's exactly what we'll be diving into next. But before we move on, there's this kind of common misconception that speaking fluently means speaking fast. Like, you got to be a speed talker.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen into that trap, trying to cram in as many words as possible.
But it's not about speed at all. It's about clarity and having this natural flow. Like, think of it like music.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
A beautiful melody has, variations in pace, pauses, emphasis.
Yeah.
Speaking fluently is kind of similar.
It's about finding that rhythm.
Exactly. It's about finding that rhythm in your speech. Don't be afraid to slow down. Pause. Gather your thoughts.
So it's less about being a speed demon and more about being a smooth talker.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. But what about those times when we just can't seem to find the right words? What do we do then?
First of all, don't panic. It happens to everyone. Even native speakers get tongue-tied sometimes.
Oh, good. So it's not just me.
Not at all. And remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to start with the basic sentences and gradually increase complexity as you get more comfortable.
So baby steps are key.
I like that.
What are some other ways we can break free from that urge to translate in our heads and start speaking more naturally?
Well, one really effective technique is shadowing. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I'm not sure I totally get it.
Basically, it involves listening to a fluent speaker and immediately imitating what they say, mimicking their pronunciation tone rhythm.
Oh, so it's like becoming a vocal clone of the speaker? I actually tried it once with a podcast I love, but it felt kind of awkward at first, like I was just parroting someone else.
It can feel a little strange at the beginning.
Okay.
Trust me, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And it's incredibly effective for training your brain and your mouth to work together seamlessly in English.
So it's like a workout for my pronunciation muscles.
Exactly. Think of it that way. And the best part is you can shadow practically anything. Movies, TV shows, audiobooks.
The world is my pronunciation playground.
Exactly. And while you're practicing, remember that mistakes are your friends. They're not failures. They're opportunities to learn and grow.
It's like those fail videos.
Yeah.
We can learn just as much from our mistakes, if not more, than we can from our successes. So how do we turn those mistakes into learning moments?
Analyze them. Don't just brush them off. Ask yourself, why did I make that mistake? Was it pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary? Once you kind of know the root of the problem, you can focus on fixing it.
It's like detective work, gathering evidence to crack the code of fluency.
I like that. And recording yourself speaking can be really helpful for this. When you listen back, you can pinpoint areas where you're excelling and areas that need a little more attention.
It's like having a personal speech analyst right in my pocket.
Precisely. And don't forget to celebrate those wins, no matter how small. Every step forward is a reason to pat yourself on the back.
Yes, it's so easy to get caught up in what we haven't achieved yet. But it's crucial to acknowledge how far we've come. So we've talked about thinking smart, speaking fluently, even embracing those inevitable mistakes. Do you have any fun challenges or activities that can help our listeners put all these amazing tips into practice?
You know what I do? How about a 1-minute fluency challenge?
Ooh, a challenge I'm in. Tell me more.
It's simple, but super effective. Choose a topic you're comfortable talking about. Your daily routine. A favorite hobby. Anything you can just chat about easily.
Okay, got it. Easy topic. Check. What's next?
Set a timer for 1 minute and speak in English about your chosen topic for that whole minute without stopping.
Whoa, a whole minute of nonstop English. Okay, that sounds a little daunting. What if I freeze up?
Don't worry about making mistakes or reaching perfection. It's all about just keeping those words flowing. You can use fillers like, or, let's see if you need a moment to think. And don't be afraid to repeat yourself if you get stuck.
Okay, so it's all about keeping that momentum going, even if it's a bit bumpy at times. And it's okay to start with simple sentences. I don't need to suddenly become a Shakespearean orator.
Exactly. Simplicity over complexity. And if you're feeling brave, record yourself during the challenge. That way you can listen back later and see how you did.
I love that. It's like a personalized fluency report card.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to give this challenge a try. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on what it truly means to speak fluent English. What does fluency look and feel like to you?
You know, fluency is so much more than just being grammatically perfect or having this huge vocabulary. It's about being able to communicate your thoughts and ideas clearly, confidently, and authentically. It's about connecting with others and sharing your unique voice with the world.
That's beautifully said. It's about using English as a tool for connection and expression, not just a set of rules to memorize.
I love that perspective. I love that perspective. It really takes the pressure off. But before we completely wrap up, I have a thought that's been kind of brewing in my mind.
Oh, I'm all ears. What on?
Well, we've talked about all these great techniques for practicing thinking in English, but what if we took it a step further, you know?
I'm intrigued.
What if instead of just practicing it, We actually started thinking in English all the time,
Ooh.
like throughout the day, not just during designated practice sessions. No, that's a really interesting idea. It's like taking those English training wheels off and just diving headfirst into the linguistic pool.
Exactly. It's almost like rewiring our brains to think in English by default. Instead of it being like this conscious effort, it becomes second nature.
You know what? There's actually a lot of research that supports this idea. The more you immerse yourself in a language, even if it's just mentally, the more your brain starts to adapt and rewire itself to process that language more efficiently.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about learning English, it's about living English, thinking, speaking, maybe even dreaming in English.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the more natural and effortless it will become. It's like building this new mental pathway that eventually just becomes this superhighway of fluency.
I love that analogy. So
Yeah.
it's not just about reaching a destination, it's about transforming the journey itself.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the process, the challenges, the triumphs, and allowing yourself to grow and evolve as an English speaker.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing all these incredible insights and strategies. I feel like I have this whole new toolkit for approaching fluency,
Hmm.
and I'm so excited to start putting all these ideas into practice.
It's been my pleasure. Remember, the key is to start small, practice consistently, embrace those mistakes, and celebrate every single victory along the way. And don't forget to give that 1-minute fluency challenge a try.
Oh, absolutely. I'm already planning out my topic. I think I'm going to go with why cats are the ultimate rulers of the internet. What do you think?
I think that's a brilliant choice. I can't wait to hear your 1-minute masterpiece.
All right, listeners, it's time to unleash your inner English superhero. Go out there, think smart, speak fluently, and embrace the amazing journey of learning a new language. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of knowledge and discovery. Until then, keep those English thoughts flowing. And remember, you got this.